Everybody ready?
Hello?
We'll call the Williams County Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Mark?
Here.
James?
Here.
Brett?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Dan?
Here.
George?
Here.
Barry?
Here.
Sherelle? Here. Tori? Here.
We have a quorum. We will proceed. Disposition of the minutes from our last meeting. What are the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. We'll take that as a second. Roll call, please.
Barry?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sherelle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes, motion carries. Before we start the meeting, ladies and gentlemen, we have a busy agenda tonight, and I'm just assuming that most of the people here are for number one, and that's going to be a lengthy hearing. So in order to make the rest of the people who are here for the other parts of the agenda, quite often we reorganize the agenda and put the most controversial one at the end so that everybody else doesn't have to stay for that. If that's all right with everybody, that's what I would like to propose. Commissioners, what are your thoughts? Sounds good. Is that a motion? To reorganize the agenda? And a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
James?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sherelle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes, motion carries. Let's start with item number 2. Michelle, please.
Okay, so then the first one we're going to start with today is LU-0027-26, which is Ryan Waters with West Dakota Water, who is requesting a conditional use permit to construct a freshwater holding pond within the agricultural zoning district. This is located in the northeast of Section 35, Township 158 North, Range 101 West. This is in Orthel Township. And as of earlier this month and even today, we have not received comment back from Orthel Township on this. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to construct a freshwater holding pond on the subject property. The pond will be an engineered earthen berm pond that will hold approximately 237.1 acre feet, which is equivalent to approximately 1,839,658 barrels of fresh water. The pond will be more of a flag shape, with the widest portion being approximately 633 feet and the longest point at 615 feet. The pond will be clay lined with 3-to-1 interior and exterior side slopes. The perimeter of the pond will be fully fenced with a 4-strand barbed wire fencing. The fresh water for the pond will be obtained by temporary water permits from the Little Muddy. There will be temporary pumps installed. According to the applicant, if the intended use is no longer needed, reclamation will be determined by the landowner, with the pond being left to be utilized by the landowner, or the disturbed area will be reclaimed to its original grade. The purpose of this pond is for storage of fresh water that will be used to aid and support in oil well development and production within the area. Access to the subject property will be taken off of 139th Avenue Northwest, which is also known as County Road 3.
Any questions for Michelle?
I think this is working. No, it isn't working. Is it? You hear me? Okay. On this being reclaimed by the owner, we see that a lot. Do they have to come back in if they want to? We get this water pond and then they decide they want to use it. Do they have to get some sort of permit or whatever for that so that we keep track of it? Or
It will be determined based on what they want to use it for. If they want to use it, say, fill some of it in and use it for agricultural purposes, we would not require them to come back in front of the board.
okay. I guess my question is, we've got all these ponds showing up all over the place and it's always the owner's gonna take care of it afterwards. That's kind of slim there.
I guess I was under the impression if the owner wants it to stay there, it'll stay there. If he doesn't, the company will reclaim it.
Correct.
Yeah.
I got it wrong. Thank you.
Quite often, George, the owners think of that as a source of spray water or irrigation water, especially up in the area where there is pivots. I could certainly understand if they would want to keep it.
Michelle, I don't know if this is a you question or just down the road, but you take a year like this where there's not a lot of water coming down that creek. What happens to the down creek people if they say they're not getting enough water for their cattle? Is there a process they go through to where they can't pull water for it, or how do they go about that?
I believe that they could take that up with the state with the water permit itself, as since that's the state will approve those water permits and they can, I would assume, make modifications in drier years if need be.
Any other questions for staff?
Do we know if it's electric pumps or diesel or?
I'm not sure, but the applicant is here. He could probably answer that.
Let me close out this portion. Don't go away. Just let me close out this portion. Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing, please.
I'm with West Dakota Water. Answer your question, we do a combination of both, electrical and diesel pumps and stuff. So we set them there temporarily, move the water when doing jobs and such, and then pull them on. So basically, it's just the pond itself and kind of a working area around that. And to address further on the water in the Little Muddy, the state has they watch it very closely. They maintain a certain CFS, and so what we target is spring runoff or high runoff events, rain and such, and then we'll put water and store it in the ponds. It's a big pond. We're sizing it to be able to do and try to keep up with the fracking technologies. Right now, it's getting bigger and bigger all the time in terms of the volumes of water they use. So we build these big ponds to store and meet their water demands. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Unless it's been a while since I've been in the water and stuff, but with a pond of this size, over 1 million barrels, you need a permit. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Will you need a water permit since it's over 50 acre feet or a permit from the State Water Commission for the reservoir of this size?
Yes.
And do you have that yet?
We do.
Okay.
We
I just didn't. I guess maybe I overlooked it. I didn't see it in here.
we actually just got it
Okay, gotcha.
on Friday, or the 19th. I think is when it was issued. I sent it to
Yeah, it
the-
was just added this morning to the packet.
That's probably why
Yeah.
I don't have it in this one. Gotcha.
Yeah, so anything over the 50 acre foot mark requires a state permit where they look at, like breach analysis, the structure design engineering of that, facility to make sure it's safe and, protecting downstream.
Will that explain why I don't have it in my packet? It was just added this morning. Great. Thank you.
Other questions? Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but every gallon of water that goes in there is metered on the way in and on the way out.
Yes. Yep. So, with every temporary permit, we're tracking that, report that to the state. Whether it be a groundwater well, pulling from a Little Muddy, anything like that, that's all tracked. And then, we're tracking it going out, and that's what we get paid. So yeah, we keep really close ties on exactly what's going in and what's going out.
Thank you. Any questions for Ryan? Any more questions? This is a public hearing. Does anybody else wish to speak to this issue? No, we reorganized the agenda, and that's going to be the last item. so that we can deal with all the other issues first, and then we'll come to that, thinking that it'll take quite a bit of time, but we won't forget about you there. Any other questions on this application? Anybody else wish to speak? Third and final time. Hearing none, I will close the hearing, turn it over to the board. What are your wishes?
I make a motion to approve with staff comment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Grab whichever one you want. Any further discussion by the board? Roll call, please.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
The next one we have tonight is LU-0028-26, which is Fisher Sand and Gravel, who are requesting a conditional use permit for mining at an existing gravel pit within the agricultural zoning district. This is located in the east half of the northwest northwest and the northeast northwest of Section 25, Township 159 North, Range 101 West, being Scorio Township, and the township has recommended approval on this item. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to mine in an existing sand and gravel pit. Subject property is approximately 60 acres and currently within the agricultural zoning district. The applicant has a weed management plan and a reclamation plan in place, which includes using the topsoil that is removed during operations as part of reclamation. The immediate plans for gravel use are for county highway and county projects. However, they do foresee the gravel being used elsewhere. Access to the subject property is off of Highway 50.
Any questions for staff?
Michelle, what happens to the old CUP on this? It just goes away?
It does, yeah.
Any other questions for staff? I will open the public hearing. Any comment from the public?
On a call, I'm just clarifying. Vent, you can now speak if you'd like to comment.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. Yeah, like say it is a pit. We have no projects, slated for this right now. It, just depends upon work in the area for awarded a job or anything. One of the reasons that we wanted to get this in place is just because the permitting process takes a little while. And if we get work, we want to be ready to go.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Anything you want to add? One more time. It's a public hearing. Anybody else wish to speak to this one? Third and final time. Close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your thoughts and wishes?
Make a motion to approve following staff comments.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, George. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay,
Item number 4.
the next one we have is LU-0030-26. Vaughn Cornell, on behalf of Herbert Cornell, is requesting a variance for a proposed 1-acre lot to remain in the agricultural zoning district. This is
Vent
located
Wallace, Fisher Sand and
within
Gravel
the
Company.
northeast, except
now
sublot 1
exiting.
and state highway of section 11, township
Vent
155 north,
Wallace, Fisher
range
Sand and
101
Gravel Company.
west.
Is now exiting.
And this is Missouri Ridge Township, and they have recommended approval on this project. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision, which will create 2 lots. The parent parcel is approximately 140.2 acres and within the agricultural zoning district. The newly created lots will be approximately 1 acre and 139.2 acres. The larger lot will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the applicant is requesting the variance for the 1 acre to also remain in that agricultural zoning district. The purpose of the minor subdivision is to separate out the tract where Herbert and Marlene's grandson's home is currently located. The applicants are requesting a variance rather than the zone change because the grandson farms the tillable land that surrounds the farmstead. And that is part of that larger parcel, and they would just like to see it remain within that agricultural zoning district. Access to the subject property is off of US Highway 85.
Questions for Michelle? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Is the applicant here? Any comments, anything you want to add? Okay, thank you. Third and final time. I'll close the public hearing. Turn it over to the board.
Make a motion to approve with staff comment.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, the next one we have tonight, LU-0039-26, which is Ryan King with Basin Electric on behalf of Mountrail Williams Electric Cooperative. They're requesting a conditional use permit to expand the existing Wheelock Substation. This is in the northeast except state highway of section 17, township 156 north, range 98 west, being Wheelock Township. We have not received comment back from the township. However, I did get an email from one of the members saying that they were okay with it. So, but no official word from the entire township as a whole. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to expand the existing Wheelock substation located on the subject property. The conditional use permit would be to amend the CUP permit 2011-11-092. The property is approximately 33 acres and within the agricultural zoning district. Current substation was originally approved in November of 2011, with construction completed in 2012. The original footprint of the substation covers approximately 7.32 acres, and the expansion will consist of adding approximately 2.23 acres to the west of the existing substation location. Access to the subject property is taken off of 121st Avenue Northwest.
Questions for Michelle? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody to this issue? Anybody here from Mountrail Williams?
From Basin Electric, we're here. We don't have anything to add.
Okay, what I was trying to do is fish out somebody that thinks electricity is just a fad. Third and final time. I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your thoughts? What are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Before we go into the last agenda item, if we could skip down with your permission, if we could skip down to discussion items. Number 1, zoning ordinance update, formal formation of the recommended committee from the April 16th meeting. That way these gentlemen wouldn't have to sit through the rest of the meeting also. Barry, comments?
No more than I said at the last meeting, I guess. I mean, I think I would certainly be willing to be on that committee, and I'm assuming the chair for planning and zoning should be, so, and then a couple other ones, or at least one other one anyhow.
1 member from this board and then 2 people from the group that were requesting the ordinance. Would that be all right with you?
How many county commissioners are gonna be on it? Just Barry or?
Barry and Corey, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Brett, are you still willing to serve?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you and myself?
Yep.
Okay. Jim, Mike, Ryan, who wants to be on? There's 3 of you sitting here. We would like to have 2 of you. Jim Hort and Ryan Wade. Can we have a motion to that effect?
I make a motion.
And a second, please.
Second.
Further discussion. Barry, you'll set up the timing of it for us?
Sure, that'll be more up to, we'll get the answer right now.
Good evening, Commissioners. Cameron Heimer, Development Services. Going through the bylaws. At this meeting, yes, as you've already done, we need to set up who's going to sit on the committee. And then we would also need this board to select a member of staff to take minutes for that meeting. My recommendation, if this board sees fit, would be Cheyenne. She is excellent at taking minutes. In addition to that, at this meeting, you would also need to set forth a time, date, and location of the special meeting. That has to be decided at a public meeting such as now. If not, we'd have to wait till the next planning and zoning meeting to set that time, date. Yeah, and Michelle can also probably update you on some dates. If we were able to hold the special meeting or this committee meeting, which is a public hearing, so the public would have a right to speak as well, even if they don't sit on the committee, we can try and get it scheduled for next month's planning and zoning meeting for an ultimate determination on how to move forward.
Yes, so if we are wanting this on the June planning and zoning meeting, which is June 18th, we would have to have our meeting between now and Wednesday, June 3rd by 12 noon to meet the publication deadlines that are set by the newspaper for it to be publicized for 2 weeks prior to that planning and zoning meeting. So it's a pretty quick turnaround if we do it then. Otherwise, if we want to wait until July to bring it back in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission Board, we would have a whole nother month that we could look at dates to get everybody in one room together.
What does Monday or Tuesday of next week look like? Monday,
we are closed.
Oh, I'm gone all next week.
How about the week after that?
Available Monday.
That would be Monday, June 1st.
Barry, that work for you? The fish aren't biting. There you go. You'll be up at Zoll. What time? What time? First thing in the morning?
Let me check that.
I know that staff likes 6:15 in the morning meetings.
I don't get paid until 8.
Will that work for everybody? That work for you guys?
What time now?
8 o'clock. Okay. So let's sum it up. Which date? What's the date? June 1st?
June
8
1st,
o'clock.
8 a.m.
Certain room that you want us to be in?
I would probably recommend the 3rd floor training room, see if that is available, and I'll confirm tomorrow morning. If not, we can try and hold it down here again. But that has tables and it's a little more easier to meet as a committee.
Would you like email addresses for for Jim and Ryan?
I have them.
Okay, you're way ahead of us.
And then staff for minutes.
Okay, can we get a motion to set up the committee, please?
I'll do that again. I'll make a motion to set up that committee.
I'm sorry, did I miss that? Did I call for the vote?
Are we supposed to?
Okay, we're done.
taking
Let's go on.
minutes? We didn't need to vote on Cheyenne taking minutes. thought we said
I
that.
would probably include her specifically for that and the time and date and location in the motion as well.
Okay, we're good? Let's move on.
I think we gotta vote then.
I'll second. I'll second
Well,
that.
that's what I was hoping somebody would hit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Michelle, whenever you're ready. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, so this item that we have now is LU-0024-26. Steven Simard is requesting a conditional use permit to open and operate a group home within the urban residential zoning district. This is located in Lot 8 of Block 1 of Little Muddy Estate Subdivision, being Section 17, Township 155 North, Range 100 West, which is Farron Township. Farron Township has recommended denial of this project. There were 11 individuals who spoke at their township meeting. 10 were opposed with 1 in favor. Petition was presented by residents within 1 mile with 50+ signatures. Major concerns over lack of structure, policies, procedures, and safety. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to open and operate a group home within the urban residential zoning district. This group home will be utilized as a sober living home with the goal to give men a safe, structured, and stable environment to live in. According to the applicant, this facility will be for men only and will have a capacity of no more than 13. The individuals who will reside in this home will be fully independent individuals who will either have jobs or actively seeking employment and will be required to follow policies and guidelines. The applicant plans to use a program phased in a way for the residents to gain additional independence by demonstrating accountability and commitment to their recovery. The applicant plans to hire on-site staffing in the form of 1 full-time or 2 part-time housing managers who will be responsible for checking in with residents, administering drug testing, filling outtake and intake forms, and general property management duties. The applicant will operate this through his 501c3 nonprofit, which they are still working through the process to finalize it with at a federal level. However, it is registered and recognized as a nonprofit through the state of North Dakota as Cornerstone Recovery Foundation. Access to the subject property is off Patriot Lane.
Any questions for Michelle? I will open the public hearing. Just a quick comment as we go into the public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board does have copies of all of the petitions that were sent in and all the letters that were sent in, and they are noted. And then the other comment I wanted to make, we'll start with the applicant, and then we'll ask whatever questions of the applicant first, and then we'll call for anybody who else wishes to speak for or against this. And I heard a interesting interview on the radio the other day to one of our legislators, and the gentleman made the statement that at the legislature, everybody brings the best version of themselves, and I thought I would share that with you. So let's discuss this in a meaningful way and a helpful way, and let's all bring our best versions of ourselves when you come up to the mic. Okay? Is the applicant here? Good evening and welcome. The floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Steve Simard, owner and founder of Cornerstone Recovery Foundation here in Williston. I'm a lifelong resident of Williston. 4 kids, marriage, former firefighter for the Williston Fire Department. I am also a recovering drug addict. I have 2 years of sobriety. And I was in active addiction for the last 4 years while living here. This idea came to me. I attended treatment, came back to Williston thinking I had a plan, and I had no plan. I had nowhere safe to go. I relapsed in a matter of 15 minutes after 40 some odd days of continued sobriety. This house is an opportunity for individuals like myself that don't have anywhere to go, that want to continue sobriety, continue working on getting their family back, jobs, going to school, what have you.
Questions for the applicant?
I do have a question. This is located, how far is it from Williston? It's like 3-4 miles,
5 miles.
5 miles.
7.
What arrangements will you have for transportation for your residents?
So each individual, whether they have a license or not, I would hope that they have a driver's license. But if needed, the housing manager, it can easily transport individuals.
Other questions?
So you would expect that some of them might have their own vehicles then?
Absolutely. Every resident is required to have employment within 30 days of entering the residence.
Mark, question?
Okay, follow up on that. So in front of your house, there could be 13 vehicles plus all your personal vehicles at any given time?
So this residence would not, I'm not living there. This would be strictly for the individuals that live there. There could be potentially, yes, up to 13 vehicles.
Okay, so that's my next question. Your family isn't going to live in this house?
No.
Okay, my third one, there's 13 beds in this house?
There's 6 bedrooms. Each one would have 2 individuals per bedroom.
What do you have for bathroom facilities then?
4 bathrooms.
4 full baths?
Yes.
Anything further, Mark? Other questions? Tori, please.
With 13 individuals, you said each of them may have a vehicle.
Correct.
So what's the plan for parking for that many vehicles?
On that specific property, there is adequate parking for that many vehicles.
Okay.
Other questions?
We have curfew set for the residents.
Yes, we do.
Can come and go and be settled down for the evenings and things like that.
Yep, there's curfews. Through each tiered phase, there's a different curfew.
Okay. And will they be able to fraternize on the property with like females and stuff, or be strictly a men's thing?
Strictly men's.
In your program?
Yes.
Okay. And there's some type of recovery aftercare program that you guys are going to provide while they're with the residents, or is that all offsite through various recovery programs like AANA and that type of thing?
Correct. That is all offsite. We do not offer any treatment options. We can't provide that.
Brett, pull your mic over if you would.
Sorry.
So yeah, each resident will have to attend, whether it's AANA, free through recovery, church, Tuesday morning prayer group, a lot of different groups that they can attend, but they will have to attend at least a minimum of 7 of those. But we do not offer treatment services.
So targeting like 1 meeting a day for
Yes.
each resident. And then would they be so coming into there? Is there is there a length of time sobriety before they show up at your facility? Are they going to treatment first and then coming to you, or are they going to come, they're court ordered and they need to get into some type of treatment program, and maybe you would suffice for that? Or, I mean, surely you're not taking people, detoxing them there, I wouldn't think, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We cannot provide any clinical services.
Yeah.
Every individual must have a minimum of 30 days verified
Okay.
sobriety.
Okay.
Other questions?
I see that now.
Yep.
Right after you said that.
James?
Yeah, I had a question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
In regards to the township meeting that you had with the residents that were there, what could you add or explain in a better way, according to this, a lack of structure, policies, procedures, and safety? How would you like to address that?
I think our policies and procedures and guidelines are, we took those off of almost every sober living residence in the state of North Dakota, plus other ones that have been established for many years, and we followed the same policies, guidelines. Every individual is sober when they come here, and they want to continue being sober. There's no active court cases against these individuals. No sex offenders, no violent offenders, no sexual offenses of any nature will be allowed on this property.
Absolutely.
So I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you don't either, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are there other facilities around the state or the region that are in like a residential area that are facilities like the one you want to bring?
Yes. A vast majority of them across the state are in residential areas. Providence House, for instance, down in the Watford City, Alexander area, there's a subdivision right there. The one I was a part of during my stay in treatment was in the middle of downtown Minot.
Other questions?
So is there any kind of a state oversight or something,
No, these are not state regulated by any means. Reason being is we do not provide any type of clinical treatment.
Guess I keep going back to the 13. I'm struggling between this residential and commercial. So are you cooking for 13 people out there too?
No, every individual makes their own food.
Everything's what?
Every individual makes their own food, does their own laundry. I don't provide any of that. This is just a safe place for them to go.
But they're doing it in the one kitchen that's in the house?
Yes.
So do you have to go to a commercial kitchen in there since you've got that many people?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so what about the sewer system set up for a residential house? Now you've got 13 people in there.
So,
District Health isn't going to make you do anything there? Or?
Since we're not a state regulated facility, no, it's my understanding. Also, previously there was 8 residents that lived in that house full time, and they never had an issue with septic. If there was an issue, it's just a matter of getting it pumped out. I have no problem providing that.
And fire department doesn't make you go through with sprinklers and all that since it's commercial?
No.
Really?
Yep.
Other questions? Who will be the on-site manager?
On-site manager would be Jayla Calderon, my wife. She's a care coordinator for the F5 project here for the state of North Dakota. It's a private group that deals with rehabilitation and integration.
Any other questions? If we
Yes.
need to, we'll ask you to come back up.
Well, I
Okay.
do. I see here there was one of. So how long will they be there?
Every resident varies depending on their recovery, but I would anticipate 180 days minimum per person.
And do they get visitors then? I mean, I get, it's male only, but if they have family or something like that, or
So depending on what phase they are, then yes, they would be able to have a visitor, but that's not up for discussion until roughly 60 days of continued sobriety and they're following everything that we have in place.
Anything further?
I have one more question.
Please, Tori.
I'm assuming you have more policies than just the pages provided to us.
Those are our policies and procedures.
That's all you have for program written documentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. What we're going to do at this point is anybody that wishes to come up to speak, please come up, state your name for the record. We're going to allow 3 minutes for the first go round, and if we have more time after that, if anybody else wants to add something after that, we'll try to hear everybody and every comment that someone wants to make. Floor is yours, young lady.
Thank you. My name is Jayla Calderon. I have lived in Williston since 2015. I am a daughter, a mother to 4 beautiful daughters. I am the wife of Steven Simard, and I am also an addict in recovery. Next month, I will celebrate 3 years of sobriety. During the height of my addiction, I lived on a street here in town that you would have assumed Williston Police Department owned. Directly across the street from me lived a police officer on the SWAT team and his wife who worked in corrections. 2 doors down was an officer who was part of Northwest Narcotics Task Force. He later sold his house, and soon after, one of the canine officers moved in. Directly across from her, another officer, and then another officer from Tioga PD at the end of our extremely safe and nice street. My point is, 5 members of law enforcement were all on my street, and they had no idea who their neighbor was. Because I was a mom at every school event, I looked picture perfect on the internet, I was employed, nice house, nice car, and so on. The men who will be residing at the sober living are not a bunch of monsters who want to play outside with your children and trash your neighborhood. These men have to go through an application process to live in this home. These are adults living in a safe environment with other adults holding each other accountable because they all want the same thing: safety, structure, and a second chance to get things right. These adults have rules in place so they do not fail one another or you in your neighborhood that you love. These men are not hiding who they are, but your neighbor suffering in silence at the end of your street. Of course, you're not thinking twice about him or her because their Facebook makes them look picture perfect, because your kids play with their kids, because they have no criminal record for you to look up and judge them for. Just like me on my street, surrounded by employees of Williston PD. The stigma around a sober living and what it is makes me sad. Williston has a drug problem. I know that because I was part of the problem. Today, I strive to be part of that solution. I work with addicts every single day, whether they are in recovery or they are in active addiction. I walk alongside them during some of their darkest moments. No shame, no judgment. Last night, I spent 3 hours in our jail across the street speaking to the inmates like the humans they are, like the residents of this town that they are. This is our community, all of ours, even the addicts. Recovery, healing, and restoration is possible, and that starts with a second chance, something Cornerstone Recovery Foundation can give them.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions from the ward? Thank you for coming up. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Lacey Gluger. I own Choice Recovery Counseling. I'm really nervous. I can sit in the jail and talk to inmates all day long, but I get here and my heart's beating out of my chest. So
Nothing special about us.
yeah, well, it's a pretty important topic to us, and I was at the township meeting, and I completely appreciate some of the concerns and fears that the residents had. So I've been an addiction counselor in Williston since 2008. I've been through the Mercy Recovery era, the Northwest era. We had a great sober living transitional place there. I've been in private practice for 13 years. And we have been, as addiction professionals in the community, kind of charged with like figuring out where people can go, right? We get calls all the time about like, there's no treatment services, this and that. And we have built relationships across the state with treatment providers to get people into treatment. And we've worked really, really hard at that. But what we don't have is something to reintegrate here in the community. I've totally shifted my business model in the last 7 years and started utilizing care coordination. What Jayla's doing with F5, we also do the care coordination. We focus on recovery, housing, employment, and legal prevention. And then I also provide outpatient alcohol and drug counseling. So we're not partners with Steven and his nonprofit, but we're very supportive and would be willing to work with him. So part of those care coordination programs, we have requirements of meeting with individuals every week, and we can be pretty naggy and meet with them every day if we need to. We provide transportation to things. Our goals are to get people into an employment and independent living. So while these residents would have these requirements based on the policy, we would also, and the other care coordination agencies working with these individuals would also be working towards those goals as well. So there is support. One thing that I think the stigma, like I get the not in my neighborhood, we'd like the resource and not in our neighborhood, right? And I was questioning myself, like, would I fall into that? And then I think that I can look out my window and see 2 to 3 houses with known drug users in my community as my children walk to and from school past those houses. And it is the reality that it is everywhere. And this is just a potential assistance in this solution, right? And so kind of going off of that also, like I've worked closely with other treatment centers that have sober living in very rural areas where response time would be 20 to 25 minutes. And in talking with them, they've had no law enforcement calls in their sober living situations. I think often, just to try to advocate for the population that we work with, we really see people that are in recovery almost going above and beyond to give back to their community and to create a sense of safety and contribution to their community. And so I guess I would just encourage you to know that there's some resources. Again, we don't have these really great primary treatment centers here, but there's a lot of us here that will help try to make this successful and supportive and also protect that neighborhood in the way that the residents are really wanting that protection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for this speaker? Thanks for coming up. Young lady, you're in line.
Okay. I do have one question for her.
Please state your name for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry. My name is Judy Young, and I live in the Farron area. I'm on 133rd Avenue. So my first question for her would be, do you live in that area? Okay. I'm just curious. So I wrote a letter, and I'm not good at public speaking, so I'm going to read from the letter, and I apologize. So we are writing to express our strong opposition to the proposed conditional use permit for a sober living facility within our rural residential community. Our neighborhood is made up of families, elderly residents, working individuals, and people who intentionally chose to live outside the city limits for peace, privacy, safety, and a quiet way of life. This area was never intended to function as a transitional housing or as a location for a recovery-based residential operation, bringing unvetted transient people with no investment in our community with it. While we understand the importance of addiction recovery programs and treatment services, we do not believe this proposed location is appropriate for a facility of this kind. One of the biggest concerns is a complete lack of nearby services, support systems, and that are important for individuals in recovery. Successful recovery programs typically rely on close access to counseling, medical care, treatment centers, employment opportunities, transportation, law enforcement support, and crisis response resources. Our rural area simply does not have those services readily available. This creates concern not only for nearby residents, but for the individuals who would be living at the facility. Another major concern is emergency response time. In rural communities such as ours, law enforcement, ambulance services, and emergency responders are often much farther away than they are in town. Situations involving relapse, mental crisis, disturbance, or substance-related emergencies can require immediate attention. Delayed response times place both residents of the facility and surrounding neighbors at greater risk. Also adding the strain that it places on emergency services. Many people living in this area are elderly, live alone, or have children. Families should not have to worry about increased safety concerns in the place we chose specifically for peace and security. This proposal would also significantly change the character of our neighborhood. Residents such as ourselves invested in this area with the understanding it would remain a quiet rural residential community. Introducing a sober living operation into the middle of that environment is not compatible with the nature of the surrounding properties or the expectations of the people who live there. There are more appropriate locations for this type of facility. Recovery housing is generally more successful when located near treatment providers, transportation, healthcare services, employment opportunities, and support systems that help individuals maintain stability and accountability. Statistics also show that relapse rates remain significant for individuals recovering from substance addiction, according to information published by American Addiction Centers and the National Institute of Drug Abuse. Relapse rates are commonly estimated between 40 and 60%, especially within the first year. Following treatment,
I'm gonna stop you there, but we do get the gist of it. And
Okay.
if there's time at the end, I'll have you come back up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record.
Rachel Sloan. I too am not a public speaker, so I wrote down what I want to say, and I've got a copy for you guys for your record. I'm here to express concerns regarding the proposed sober living facility plan for placement within the family-oriented subdivision at Little Muddy Estates in Williston, North Dakota. First, I want to acknowledge the importance of recovery services and support for individuals overcoming substance abuse challenges. Recovery programs and sober living homes can play an important role in helping people rebuild their lives. My concerns are not directed at individuals seeking treatment or recovery, but rather whether this particular location is appropriate for this facility. My siblings and myself received a letter regarding the situation at the beginning of May to our surprise. We became concerned immediately for our mom, so me and my husband booked a ticket to make sure we could be here for today. When my dad passed in 2020, we promised him on his deathbed that we would do anything in our power to protect our mom. We thought looking for a home in Williston, North Dakota, close to our family here, would be a great place for her to start the next chapter in which we knew would not be easy. We looked for a home that was a quiet residential neighborhood, primarily consisting of families with children, retirees, and long-term homeowners. Because with all three of us, we live far away, and we wanted to be assured our mom would be okay and safe. It took us over a year to find this place that she resides in today. We were very picky on where we picked for her. We looked at several homes in Williston. We chose this area because of the stable environment, low traffic, and residential character. Introducing a sober living facility into the neighborhood raises several concerns shared by my siblings, myself, and many residents, as I've heard. I was able to read a list of the concerns the residents in Farron Township and the response the owner provided. I personally feel the responses were straight out of a brochure. Some of my concerns included, but are not limited to, increased traffic in the neighborhood, the impact on the neighborhood children, the potential for increased disturbances, including frequent visitors, drugs, noise, and late night activity, questions regarding supervision, staffing, and enforcement of house rules, concerns about emergency calls or relapse-related incidents occurring within close proximity to our mom's home and her neighbors. The overall impact on neighborhood character and residents' sense of safety and stability, uncertainty regarding property maintenance standards and long-term oversight of the facility. We are also concerned about whether the adequate safeguards and operational accountability measures will be placed to ensure accountability with the surrounding neighborhood. We respectively request that William County Planning and Zoning carefully evaluate whether this location is appropriately given the density and family-focused nature of the subdivision, the operator's management structure, supervision, and business plan, security measures and neighborhood communication protocols, alternative locations that may be better suited for a sober recovery resident. We believe it is possible
Okay,
to
I'm
support.
going to stop
I'm
you there,
about
but
to.
that,
I'm,
no, that was very well done. Thank you.
and I have a copy for you guys that
Please,
I
please hand
signed.
them out.
That I signed.
Hi, my name is Marcia Bakken. I'm a resident owner in Little Muddy Subdivision.
Please talk into the mic.
I'm sorry, I
a
thought
little
I
more
was.
forcefully. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Firstly, I do oppose this strongly. I do have the 3 children, and they all received letters by my surprise. I didn't expect them to. Don't know why, but anyway, in the township meeting, Miss Steve, he said he found a house within city limits, but due to the cost of adding a sprinkler system, it was not an option. I don't understand if it is not a home, regardless if it's in the city limits or in the county where we live, why they don't require the same thing, because it's not a family, it's individuals. Also, he also stated if some tested positive, he would determine if they would be removed from the home depending on the type and etc. But his answers on the list said there was 0 tolerance of drug and alcohol. So there's a contradiction. A lot of his answers he gave us at the township and the answers he wrote on our our concerns were contradicting. And I didn't understand that. I found that online that group homes must have at least 1 staff member at any building in which residents are present at all times. And I have a copy that you can have with the different regulations and stuff and what I found. So you can go through that if you'd like. And if the house manager is transporting individuals back and forth, how can there be staff on site at all times if they're going to be transporting people? I'm sure they can't transport all 13 at the same time. Okay, and I do oppose, and I'm emotional because my daughter was.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Someone else?
My name is Vicki Bowers. Sorry. I'm also a teacher, a wife, and a grandmother. I speak in front of students all day long, but again, come up here a little bit nerve-wracking. But my standpoint, I have no notes. I'm going completely on a whim. My personal experience is going to be just that. My husband and I, we just recently moved out to the Little Muddy Estates, not even a year ago. It was a year ago on May 8th. The day that we moved, we had tons and tons of people helping us, including my family. My daughter and her family were there, and we had my grandchildren, and my 3-year-old daughter had wandered off. And I believe there were some people in this community that even helped us look for her. And it was not fun. We were so scared. And at the previous meeting in the Farron Township, my husband even came up and said, our granddaughter had wandered off, new to the neighborhood, had wandered off, and had literally walked into our neighbor's house, sat down, and was watching TV. Thank goodness they were good neighbors. And we found her. She was located. We celebrated. However, when this proposal came to us, my mind went immediately to that situation. I have grandchildren. I'm at my house a lot by myself. I don't want to have to be scared I don't want to have to lock my doors because there are three things that I think that we need to address. We have discussed the alcohol, the drugs, but the third thing is sex. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody in this room, and I do not mean to, but I am a female. I am at my house by myself a lot. If there are 13 men in my neighborhood, I am not going to feel safe. And I would say that there, with women being on this panel, I bet you are thinking the same thing. And if you're not, I would hope that you would. I don't want to have my husband show me how to shoot a gun and have a gun at my side. I want to feel comfortable in my own residence. And I strongly encourage you to look at some other location for this. At the Farron Township meeting, I felt that we were very respectful to Mr. Simard and his proposal. It definitely, our area definitely needs something like this. That is not the issue. The issue is, of course, the location. And the 20 miles or 20 minutes away from town in case something does happen, like a little girl wandering off into a house of 13 men, I would hope that the police would be there sooner than 20 minutes. So please keep that in mind as you make this decision, because you are affecting a large amount of people. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lev Cooper. We are the property owners. And so we lived there at the end of Patriot Lane for 10 plus years. And, I guess we didn't really know a lot of our neighbors, but I'll give you a brief breakdown of the property itself and just a little bit of details. I mean, the property itself, the house is a 4,000 square foot home, 6 bedrooms. There's 2 septic systems on it because we had septic problems when we first moved in. We put a bigger one in the backyard. The property has a camera system on it. And truthfully, we had just got this house completely redone, repainted inside with we had plans to sell it. And truthfully preferred that until Steve had asked me about this and we believed in his property, and whether it's here or anywhere else, we support their mission. And I understand everybody's concerns, but any community, anywhere that you put homes, people are going to have the same concerns. So I understand that. I'd also like to add that I've been part of a men's group where I actually met Steve in Williston, where we've done a Tuesday morning prayer for the last year and a half. In this group, we've seen people, everybody from homeless men to business owners, atheists to pastors. I mean, it's a very wide array. There's multiple ex-drug addicts that have been in this, and the massive shift in people we've seen come through here, people that were on drugs, heavily addicted a year or two ago, who have completely shifted their life around, are part of the community, are wanting to help other people. It's just been tremendous. And as far as statistics, and I don't know the statistics they said on the recovery rate, but if you look up faith-based recovery programs, it's actually 82% success rate. And this is when Steve's talking about getting these men a part of the Tuesday morning prayer group, getting them attending church. That is a faith-based program. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Can I add one more thing?
Please.
One other thing I wanted to address is, well, 2 things, I guess. So before we moved into this house 10 plus years ago, the previous owner of this property that we lived in was an abusive drug addict. I mean, he was on drugs, he was abusive, and he lived there for multiple years. He actually went on to get clean, and he's one of the owners of these other facilities in Watford and I think Minot. Another thing, we actually, about 2 years ago, we had moved a young gentleman into our house who was an addict, we literally pulled him right out of jail and had him living with us for quite some time. And unfortunately, nobody in the community knew. So we've seen sex offenders live in the community. There's been, supposed drug users. There's been businesses ran, employee housing. So we've seen tons of this, and there has been no rules upheld for the community. So I just wanted to add that
Thank
as well. Thank you.
Next.
Good evening, board members. My name is Lisa Johnson. I have lived at Muddy Rivers Estate for 15 years. And I have watched our neighborhood thrive as a safe, quiet community. I am standing here tonight to urge you to vote no on the proposed sober living home at this location. While the intent behind these programs is well-meaning, this specific proposal simply does not add up for our community. First, we have a critical lack of oversight and insight into the actual plan. We have been told a manager will only be on site from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that accountability falls on the individual leasing the home. But what happens during the other 15 hours from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m.? This facility will be entirely unsupervised in a remote area where sheriffs are already stretched across 3 other towns. It is an unacceptable safety risk to our neighborhood. Second, look at the layout and local setting. We are localized, quiet, family-oriented, family resident area where the kids ride their bikes and quads. It is a remote area with little public transportation links. This raises major questions about transportation. If these 13 men do not own vehicles, how are they expected to get to the required recovery meetings, unemployment, and medical appointments in such an isolated area? Placing a high-capacity, high-traffic program into an isolated neighborhood with no baseline resources is a recipe for failure. It sets the participants up from isolation from the very services they need. Furthermore, the applicant stated on the record at the township meeting that if the neighbors were opposed to this project, he would not move forward. Tonight, we are standing here to show you that we are completely opposed. We ask this board to hold the applicant to his word. Shifting a single-family home into a 13-person group facility. I ask you to look at the map, recognize the complete lack of transit, the strained emergency resources, and the isolation of this site. Protect the character of our neighborhood and decline the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Bob Sanders. I live out in Freedom Lane, Little Muddy Estates. One of the big concerns that we have, it was touched on a little bit, but best case scenario, all data shows that the relapse rate is 55%. So you have 13 men in that house. 55% of them are likely to fail within the first year. That's in a sober living home, structured with daily AA meetings and very structured meeting life. We live out in a very rural area. It takes 20 minutes to drive into town. There's no requirement for these gentlemen to have vehicles to get into town. There's no real structure to get them to the meetings they need. So it's one of the big concerns that we have is a revolving door of people potentially coming and going in the house. Hopefully not, and we all wish them the best of luck, but it's a lot of people coming and going, and it's going to be the increased traffic. If there is 13 vehicles, that's 13 vehicles up and down. The previous lady said, for the 16 years I was out there, we watched kids and little kids run their bikes and their four-wheelers and everything up and down the streets. My wife and I walk up and down the streets on in the summertime on a nightly basis. I know a lot of other people do too, right? That's just a lot of extra traffic, a lot of things that we don't necessarily need. But I think the biggest concern is I don't know how, if to give them the best chance of success, they need to have a very structured rehab in a very safe place. Being isolated out there 20 minutes from town, I don't know how that's possible, even if everyone has their own. They especially for those who don't have adequate transportation, and then you're isolated out there. Just I myself used to be an addict, and my brother's an addict, and I have lots of friends that have been there. But You know, when you're isolated and you're by yourself and you got a bunch of like-minded people, that's also a recipe for disaster. So those are some of my concerns. I know some of the concerns that our neighbors have as well. And I, again, oppose this proposal.
Thank you. Next, anybody else?
Start my own timer. All right, my name is Kim Olson, and I wrote some things down as well.
Please pull that mic a little closer.
Is that okay? All right. So I'm surprised that we are still here talking about this, being that Mr. Simard said at the township meeting that he wasn't going to put the facility in a neighborhood that didn't want it. I assumed after the township vote, he would withdraw his request for the permit after the township and all of the residents of the neighborhood said, no, we do not want this. And then also my second point is the best plans can turn into a dumpster fire when human free will is involved. So we have to plan for the worst, which would be a revolving door of 13 addicts that have been sober for 30 days that could possibly get kicked out at any moment, and a new person to start the program moves in. At the most length time would be 12 months if they were to graduate from the property or from the program. So we do not want a revolving door in our neighborhood of people coming and going. If we wanted to live next to a revolving door of that kind, we would be living in town next to an apartment complex. So we all chose a neighborhood setting to establish our homes and our lives, and we don't want to live next to a revolving door. If a resident gets kicked out, what would that look like? We don't know. Are they just taken to the edge of the property and told to make their own way home? Or is Mr. Simard gonna figure out transportation for the person to get back to where they need to go? He said that people will request to live in this home from all across the state. So if somebody gets kicked out and fails the program, how do they get back to where they lived originally? That's a big concern. Mr. Simard doesn't have a full plan or board in place for this facility yet, as far as what he said at the township meeting. So permits are being requested before all plans are in place and board members are in place, giving a feel of things are subject to change possibly, and I'm not okay with that. I would like to say too, if you as the planning and zoning board members are considering a vote to approve this permit request, I think you should think really hard about it and listen to the residents of the township and this directly affects. We, the township, said no. The township voted unanimously to deny it. If you approve, you're obviously not listening to the residents in the township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please, floor is yours.
My name's Joshua Sloan. Came with my wife here and my mother-in-law. Listening to everybody talk, I think it's awesome what they're trying to do. I commend that to anyone that's trying to correct their life.
Please talk into the mic for us.
Anyone trying to fix their life or do better. My problem is with this situation is that's a close-knit community from what I've seen with the families. Everybody is very close. There's a lot of kids around. They're just, everybody's happy and everything, you know. It's hard to find a lot in the world now. I could never put a number on my family's safety, my kids, my wife, any of that. What he's saying is that he can give me a guarantee that he can't. I have kids that I've watched them grow, and one day I'll have grandkids and everything. 82% is an awesome number. It sounds good on paper, but I can't put a number on my kids. You know, it's very low when it comes to me looking at how they develop um, the environment that they're in will change drastically. And I'm sure you know as well as I do, corruption is a very powerful thing out there. It's scary. Um, but everyone that I've seen out there and I've heard and talked to is against that in the area because they know how special it is to everybody that lives in that community. And no one is against what he's trying to do. We're just against where it's at. I think if it does get there, it will kind of ruin that area. It's beautiful there, and like they said, if something happens, 20 minutes, 15 minutes is too long. I feel like that should be somewhere where it's close to hospitals, close to like they said, the law enforcement, somewhere that can get someone that can get to them quickly. It being there would not be a good idea for the environment to me. I think he should find a better place to put it, where it can be more supportive where they can be more supported in the environment where they're at. Out there just wouldn't be good to my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all good.
Hi there, I'm Danny Atkins. I'm a third generation Williston native. I'm also a resident of Little Muddy Estates for the last 14 years. I'm not a public speaker as well, and I'm going to skip a huge majority of this because I feel like everybody has made this point of safety. So I won't bore you with all that. But
Okay,
over
let me interrupt. Please pull the mic to you because it's
sorry.
not just Mark and I that can't hear. It's all of us up here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so over the past 5 weeks, I have traveled, called, requested, and followed up on public records from a neighboring county involving a similar group home located within a residential neighborhood. Yesterday afternoon, I received 240 pages of law enforcement and emergency response records. While I have not yet had the opportunity to review every page in full, the records I have reviewed already demonstrates repeated law enforcement and emergency service involvements. Many of these incidents required multiple deputies or backup personnel to respond. Based on the records reviewed, calls often involved 3+ hours of response time, investigation, and report completion. The records also documented incidents involving intoxication, mental health episodes, hallucinations, individuals wandering or lying in the field in the presence of drug paraphernalia. One report even involved a staff member requiring emergency medical intervention after exposure during contact with an individual at the facility. I understand that incidents like this can happen anywhere. However, while this is going to be a 13-person with continually rotating occupancy as a whole different avenue to take in consideration. We are concerned about the loss of predictability and stability within the neighborhood we intentionally chose to call home. After speaking with members of the Williams County Sheriff's Department, I also understand staffing resources can already be limited at times, with deputies occasionally assisting neighboring communities such as Tioga when departments are short-staffed. Us as residents of Little Muddy Estates are deeply concerned about emergency responses, capacity, response time, infrastructure, and how our rural residential neighborhood is not an appropriate location for this high of an occupancy, such as the proposed that will require ongoing law enforcement and emergency service involvement. Imagine your little girls riding bike down these roads. Imagine your elderly parents living alone, your widowed mother. Imagine choosing a rural subdivision because it felt quiet, safe, and predictable, only suddenly to face uncertainty about increased emergency response demands, additional traffic, unfamiliar visitors, not to just a single family home, but 13 revolving men, and the long-term impact on the character of your neighborhood. This isn't about assumption. This is about risk management, protecting our children and the vulnerable in our community from the influx of 13 rotating men, along with the company that is brought in.
We are simply asking that the existing residents, families, and community members who already called Little Muddy Estates home not be forgotten in this decision. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Many of you have seen me here before.
It's been a
and I
long
will tell
time.
you- and I
Thanks
will
for
tell you
coming up.
why. My husband and I are the founders of Little Muddy Estates. We founded it in 2011. We established at that time a covenant and conditions to the Little Muddy Estates subdivision. That was recorded on June 15th of 2011. We have stated in the covenant that it is meant for residential, single-family dwellings. Also, no businesses. And I would consider this one a business. So I would be strongly against the CUP out there because basically of the covenant that we had formed. Also, in 2012, we did test this. We had to take a resident out there that was not following the covenant, and we took him to court. We won after $20,000 of legal fees, but we were able to establish that he no longer could do what he was doing out there. So that's what I am strongly against this, basically because of the covenant. Any
Okay.
questions?
Is there any questions for the lady?
I'm sorry. Kathy Cartier and my husband and I, Charles, started the subdivision.
Thank you, Kathy.
Sorry, I have a question.
Please, Tori, go ahead. Kathy, please, we have a question.
Sorry, could you just, instead of having us read through, which, what number?
Okay, page. Let me see here. I'm sorry. Number 2 on page 2. And there's another place that it says it too, but it's that one for sure. And the business, in regarding the business, is recorded on page 4, and that's J. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Molitere. I live in the Little Muddy Estates, and I don't like speaking in front of people either, but there's been a lot of heated discussion through social media on the subject, and a lot of people in Williston commented on it, which made some of my neighbors nervous to be home alone. That being said, I live alone. There's several other women out there that are elderly that live alone as well. One who hardly speaks any English and lives right behind me. So if something was to happen to her and she calls for help, she can't really communicate it. So she's very uncomfortable with this. I'm opposed to it, obviously. It's hard enough in this day and age to feel safe as it is. And the police officers that I've spoke with agree that this is not the place to have this. We all are sympathetic and understanding what Steve's trying to do. But Steve, when you followed me out of the meeting at the Farron Township meeting, you brought up that there was a drug dealer in the neighborhood. And my response was quick, that was 1, not 13. But my response to that now is, why on earth would you put 13 guys out in a house knowing that there is a drug dealer, if there is one, in the neighborhood? Because I could only assume it wouldn't be too hard to find, although I've never seen anything myself. So that's all I have to say. Please consider us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Samantha Pierce. I am from Williston. I am a business owner. I used to be an alcoholic. I've went through a lot of different facilities and left state to get help myself as a child. And as an adult, I live close to a lot of drug addicts and alcoholics and teachers and whoever. You can put a label on anybody. You can make anybody be what you want them to be. I think it would be really cool to be able to live next to a house that is giving 13 men or more a second chance to finding a better life with their kids, with their grandkids, with whoever it is. Also, I understand that response time keeps getting brought up. There's elderly people that live out there, so why aren't you worried about their response time? If they were to have a health issue or something like that, it could be the same thing. However, I understand that everybody has to feel safe, but it's always going to be something. It's always going to be, well, not our neighborhood because of this. It's going to be, oh, well, we don't want that. Well, it's always just, we'll help you do this, and nobody really follows through. And that's what Steven's trying to do, is show up for the people that need it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Dwayne Shoemaker. We live adjacent to the subdivision, but anyways, I had a couple questions tonight to ask you guys. What benefit does this safe house, whatever, benefit the community? How is it going to improve the living conditions in the residents that are already there? And the second thing I haven't been aware of all the other comings and goings on these other meetings, but anyways, how can you put 13 men in a 4-bedroom house legally and charge money to do it? It just didn't make any sense. But anyways, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody else wish to speak to this subject? Be the third and final time if nobody comes forward.
Hi, I'm back. I'm Jayla Calderon. I just wanted to touch base on a few things because it seems like there's some confusion or like repetitive answers. The company I work for currently is the F5 project, and what I do is care coordination. I help people like get back on their feet and find jobs, find housing. Housing is a big thing here. But anyways, my point is, my company has, I think, 6 successful sober livings throughout North Dakota. And a lot of the things I was kind of going off of, if the house manager was to drive them, it would be like Providence House has, okay, these are your work hours, and they drive them into town or wherever during these hours and be ready at, there's a schedule. Like, people aren't going to be coming and going at all hours. There's not going to be nonstop traffic. I've driven in this neighborhood and there's already some houses with 13 cars outside. And that's not my business, but I'm just saying, like, some of the things that keep getting repeated, it's not, yeah. That's all I had, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
as you know, Marcia Balkin. One thing for you to maybe consider and look into, Don and Bernice Johnson, they lived within a mile from a home. I didn't bring the paperwork that explains what happened to them, but sorry to say they're not alive anymore. And it was due to an individual that lived in the house. And he was my teacher, mentor, and a good friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Kim Olson again, and I just want to reiterate, I do not want to live next to a revolving door of people coming and going for however many times a month or however long they survive in the program. I live 3 houses down from where this facility is proposed at. Me and my husband are adamant that we do not want to live next to a house where there are potentially people coming and going, leaving, going wherever else, or on the verge of getting kicked out, or, you know, there's 13 men potential. So if half of them are doing their due diligence, because, I mean, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So, I mean, if half of the people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing in the house, they better be kicked out, for one thing. And that means half of them are out, and there are half that amount back in of new people in the neighborhood. So I just want to say, me and my husband are adamant that we do not want to live next to a house that people are moving in and out of all the time. We did not move out to the Little Muddy Estates for that to be going on.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you for all those good comments, ladies and gentlemen. Commissioners, thoughts, wishes?
Dan, I have some thoughts. I worked in mental health for 30 years. And in that course of that, I probably was involved with maybe 4 or 5 development of group homes of different sorts. And not one of them was welcomed by the neighbors. Every single one of them, whether it was for kids or adults, the people that lived around them said it was a good idea, but put it someplace else. And wherever else it went, those people also weren't thrilled with it. So that part of it, I mean, I understand some of your fears, but since I've worked in mental health for 30 years, I can tell you, you have no idea who's living in houses around you. You might think you do, but you don't. On the other hand, I also think that this is not a good location for this. And again, because I've been involved in developing group homes, you commented, and my main reason is the distance from town. If these people are supposed to be working and thinking that they're all going to have cars, that's not realistic. Some of these people won't even have driver's licenses. And consequently, trying to ferry them back and forth to work, it won't work to say, we'll take you in at 8 and pick you up at 5. People are going to be doing shift work. I mean, they're going to be looking at basic kinds of work. And somebody's constantly going to be on the road hauling people back and forth. So you'd have to have one person dedicated totally to transportation. And I didn't understand exactly, but my understanding was this meant to have a manager on site all the time, because that would be, I would think, a recommendation. And because of that location and so forth, I would like to move that we deny this, because I just think it's a bad location.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Well, the only thing I say is I didn't even look at the purpose of the building. It's more of the use that they're going to do. If you're going to put 13 people in, we've done everything we can to get rid of man camps. The difference between this and a man camp, I can't see the difference. And would I want to live next to 13 guys? I mean, I don't know 3 guys that can get along together all the time. You put 13 guys in one building, I just see problems. So I agree with Shrill. I just don't think it's the right place for it.
Any other comments? James, please.
I think it's a great concept. Again, to me, it boils down to reading through the covenants. The minute that this thing, if it were to be approved by the county commission, that thing's going to end up in court. So again, it's a great idea. I support that fully. We just got to work a little harder on the plan and location.
Any other comments? At the start of this, we talked about the problems of alcoholism and drug use. And in North Dakota, we do have a problem. We're one of the worst states in the nation for alcohol use, for whatever reason. The climate, the temperature, or the just the lack of other distractions. I don't know what it is, but it is a serious issue. Anybody else wish to speak? Tori?
I do want to make some comments. I think that there's a lot of fear and apprehension around addiction, and I think it's very important for this community to realize we have a problem. And I know people have stated this, but we have a problem. We have things that we need to do in this community. Maybe this isn't the right location. Maybe it is the right location. I'm still trying to figure that out, I guess, in my mind. But having a sober living house in Williams County is needed. It's needed maybe in city limits, maybe out here. It's needed. I know I have addiction on my block. I know I have cousins that are addicted and they haven't fully recovered. And they would never hurt a child and they would never commit a crime. And I think labeling people who have gone through things that maybe I don't fully understand because I've never been an addict. I think we need to think about how we can help these people in our community, whether it's here or in a different location in town. And so I would just challenge our community to think, how can we all help with a solution? Because it's a community solution we need to find. So that's just what I want.
Thank you, Tori. Anybody else? Anybody else? I was here in the building about 10 minutes to 5 this afternoon and to drop off some other paperwork. And I decided that I would drive out there, even though I'm very familiar with the area, and spend a lot of time on County 9. But I was quite surprised at how long it took me to get out there and back, driving at a reasonable speed. It is a long way out, and it's unfortunate that it's that far removed, because we do need a facility like this, maybe several facilities like this. It is a need.
Dan, one more comment.
Please.
I think the other thing that we should mention is this is a facility for men, but had it been women or a family crisis shelter or something to that effect, would that stigma be different? And I don't think we should be legally considering that portion of it.
Public comment is closed, so if people can please keep their words quieter.
Where did that come from? Thank you for reminding me. Ready for roll call? Please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming up and volunteering your time tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn? We are
I'll second.
adjourned.
Oh, we did. We're adjourned. We're good. Okay. We're just